Hi everybody, this is Cheryl Richardson and I'm here live with you. First time I think in a couple of weeks. I'm here for our Facebook Live session just to spend a little time with you here. And so I'm going to wait for, let's see, for some of you to show up. Hi Teresa, welcome. I think I'm going to see you this weekend, aren't I, Teresa, in Phoenix? Something tells me I saw that somewhere. I'm heading to Phoenix this weekend for the Speak, Write, and Promote workshop that I do with Reed Tracy, who's the president of Hay House. So Sarah says she can't hear me. Yes, Teresa, okay, so you can hear me. Sarah, it's got to be your device. And if somebody could just comment maybe for Sarah and let her know that it's got to be her hardware, because the rest of you can hear me, that would be great. Hi, Marilyn and Ellen and Mary and Kathleen. Welcome. Welcome, Cecile, Karen, Carol. I'm so glad you're all here. Hi, Lisa and Melissa and Sarah. Oh, great. I'm glad you can hear me now, Sarah. That's great. And Sandra. Hi, welcome. I want to talk to you a little bit about the book club. I guess I would call it a book club contest that I'm going to do for my new book that's coming out in just a few weeks. Before I do that, let me just say thank you all so very much for your wonderful love and beautiful just thoughts and comments about our loss of Poupon. I really can't talk about it. It's way too soon. So I'm not gonna talk about it right now. I just can't without just turning into like a mess, and I don't really want to do that. I've been doing that a lot, and I need a break. But I know so many of you understand what I'm going through, and there is nothing. I've never ever experienced this kind of grief before. Losing an animal is a very different experience. So anyway, I'll talk more about it at some point for sure, but thank you all for your love. I really, really appreciate it. Both Michael and I do. Tonight I wanted to talk about, so my next book is called Waking Up in Winter in Search of What Really Matters at Midlife. I've spoken about it here before, and it's a memoir in journal form, and it really is an exploration into what really mattered to me as I lived and examined life. During a period of time that was really tough, much like now in some ways, but when I lost Debbie Ford, a dear friend of mine, and entered my 50s and began to really reconsider, reconsider everything in my life. And so this book is different in that it really shows you, the reader, what it means to live an examined life, what it means to live consciously, to be self-aware, to engage in the healing process and the growth process. And it just shows you how I do it. And so, and then there's an area in the back. You know, I've always written self-help books, and I really want to support people in being able to live examined lives, live lives committed to growth and healing. And so so in addition to the memoir, one of the things I did do at the end of the book was include a little section for you to kind of conduct your own period of exploration and reevaluation and reexamining of your life, regardless of what age you are, because we all go through transitionary times in our lives where it's so important to stop, reassess, notice what's working, notice what isn't working. I mean, think about it. When's the last time that you actually sat down quietly by yourself for a good period of time and really considered what's working in my life? What do I love about my health, my physical, emotional, and spiritual health? What's working in regards to my career, to the work that I choose to do? How are my relationships doing? Do I feel good about my relationships? Do I feel good about my relationship with myself, with the people I share a home with? How do I feel about where I live, the home that I live in? How do I feel about my spiritual life? Has it evolved in some way? Has it grown, or do I still sort of adopt some of the beliefs and roles and patterns from my childhood that maybe don't work anymore? How am I doing psychologically? Am I feeling okay? Am I happy, content? You know, for the most part, not always, of course. Life is hard here on planet Earth and physical bodies, for sure. But when's the last time you actually really stopped to re-examine your life? It's something we need to do on a regular basis if we want to live consciously and we want to live meaningful, satisfying, fulfilling lives in some way. We really have to be attentive to our own soul, attentive to our own tender heart, attentive to our feelings. We need to not only think about our life, which is important, but notice how we feel about our life. Notice how we sort of sensually feel in our bodies. So these are all of the things that I explore in the book. And then at the end, I offer this section for those of you that want to explore with me as well, whether it's by yourself, whether it's in a journal, whether it's with a good friend or a small group of friends, or you might decide to read this together in a book club and then really explore some of the happenings of your own life and the patterns in your own life, the questions, the regrets that you might have if you were to die tomorrow, like really sort of explore some of those. And to support that, one of the things I thought I would do that I think is sort of a great way to use social media and technology is if you do have a book group or you want to start a book group, whether you're together face-to-face or virtual, or if you want to, let's say, buy some copies for friends of yours and create a book group and read the book together, I would encourage you, if you buy 5 copies of the book or more, to keep a copy of your receipt. And you can send a copy of the receipt to bookclub@CherylRichardson.com. bookclub@CherylRichardson.com. And just adjust my seat here. And I am going to choose several groups, probably at least 5 groups, to visit with personally. You can create a book group or take an existing book group, create a little private Facebook group, a secret Facebook group or a private Facebook group, and I'll choose 5 people who have sent emails in with their receipts, and I will visit you personally, visit your Facebook Live group once you've read the book to talk about the questions in the back. And I thought I'm going to share some of them with you, but to just talk about where you're all at this time in your life and do some coaching with you. I mean, it would just be private, so it would be me, you, and the 5 or more people that you decide to have in your book group. If you have more, that's totally fine too. But I'll be able to visit with you in the most intimate way I can without coming to your home, but it can feel that way. We can all be on the same Facebook group together. I've done it before, and you can post questions, and who knows, I might even, if you're Zoom savvy, we might even decide to do a Zoom group where I can actually see all of you and we can interact together. You'd need to know how to use Zoom. Everybody in the group would need to know how to use it, but we can do it either way. We can work it out. So we can work it out. Song in my head. Anyway, so you can, I'll post the email address again once I finish here, bookclub@CherylRichardson.com. Send a copy of your receipt, just print it out, scan it, send it to the email address. My assistant Nicole will get the email. And then I would say probably just after the first of the year sometime. I'll let you know exactly when. I haven't decided yet. But sometime the first half of January, I'll go through and choose 5 people and 5 winners. And then I will join each of your groups. How's that? I think that'd be really fun to do. I'm looking forward to that. So at the end of the book, I just want to read to you one of the parts at the very end. It's a special message to the reader. And it says, "Dear friend, midlife can be both an exciting and challenging time. Our willingness to engage in a thoughtful and deliberate process of inquiry at this stage can mean the difference between a meaningful and mediocre life." It's kind of what I was talking about in terms of, do you take the time to really think about your life and what's working? To inspire a useful reckoning, I've designed a series of questions for you to answer on your own, in a journal, or with a group. Self-awareness is a catalyst for growth and positive change. Be brave, and please take your time. The answers to these questions will support the kind of midlife introspection, or let's just say life introspection, depending on how old you are. You don't have to be midlife, that can bring peace and clarity to the choices you make in the next exciting season of your life. So here's some of the questions that I write about, and that I put here at the back of the book. Think of life as a school. What lessons have shaped the person you are today? What have you learned about how life works? What have you learned about how you work in your life? What do you need to release from your life in order to make space for the priorities that matter now? That's a really important question to ask yourself at any stage of life. This afternoon, I've been playing this game with my brother-in-law, Tom, about eliminating clutter from our lives. And it was inspired by my sister, Carrie, who wrote a book called What Your Clutter is Trying to Tell You. It's a really inspiring book, and it looks more deeply at the issue of too much stuff in our lives. You know, why you keep too much stuff, why you keep what you keep, where you keep it. It's a really interesting exploration, and Tom and I were both inspired by Carrie, and we've been sort of partnering with each other, texting back and forth. And just today, I have boxes of old manuscripts when I was writing. I have a lot of tax records, financial records, and I've put together a whole bunch of boxes of stuff that need to be shredded. And as I was going through some of the final financial folders, I was realizing the stuff we hold on to. I mean, I know this, but I felt it in my body. The stuff we hold on to holds the energy of those old experiences. So I was looking at receipts of purchases I made 7 years ago, or I was looking at, work contracts that are long gone, events that I've already completed, that I've outgrown, that I don't even do anymore. And I was so aware of the energy in my life and my environment that is still living in that environment because I'm holding on to this stuff. And so I knew, as I've stacked up all these boxes, and I haven't texted Tom yet, so I can't wait to tell him I'm finally, like, the truck's coming and this stuff is going. All the old manuscripts, the stuff I wrote that never made it anywhere, that wasn't supposed to make it anywhere, all that old creative energy that isn't relevant anymore. I know that releasing that creates a space in my life for something important. And sometimes the important thing is the space itself, energetically, physically, emotionally, and I'm looking forward to that. So one of the questions is, what do you need to release from your life in order to make space for the priorities that matter now, even if the priority is space? What would you let go of if you knew you could do so without any negative consequences? It's a good question to think about. Think of someone's behavior whose behavior feels frustrating or upsetting from your past or present. What is it about the behavior that causes you discomfort? What aspect of your identity might he or she be inviting you to embrace? What might he or she be trying to teach you about yourself? That question was inspired by a story that I tell in the book about attending a Debbie Ford workshop many, many years ago, and what I learned about myself and my inability to embrace greedy. So that's, you'll understand that question more once you read the book. Another question I ask is, what's great about your life right now? Where do you find meaning or feel a sense of purpose? Who are you grateful for and why? You know, very often we spend a lot of time focused on what isn't working in our lives. I hate my job. My marriage doesn't feel the way I need it to. Or I'm lonely, I don't have a partner. I hate where I live. Or, am I ever going to make enough money to feel happy or to feel content in some way? How am I going to ever get out of debt? I mean, we focus a lot on what we don't want, what we don't like, what we wish would change. When sometimes if we focused more of our energy on what's already great about our lives, I have so many people who care about me. Or I was able to save money for the first time last month, let's say. Or I have a boss that really appreciates what I do. Like, really focusing on what's great about your life is a wonderful way to help you to get in touch with maybe what you want to create more of in your life. or to just feel a deep sense of gratitude and satisfaction, which is great for the immune system. It's great for your emotional health. It's great for your spiritual health. So here's another question based on an entry in the book. How have the tribes that you belong to, family, school groups, religious communities, friends, work colleagues, and the like, influenced who you've become and the choices you've made in your life? Which tribes support your authentic expression now, and which tribes suppress it? I also talk about the influence that tribes have had on my life. All of the different systems, educational, family, religious, like the different groups that we're born into or that we grow up in influence deeply the roles that we play in life. And one of the important things about growing up and doing this kind of work that I'm writing about is you engage in the process of individuation, becoming whole in and of yourself, making choices based on what's deeply important to you, not to maintain status quo or to keep other people happy or to make sure that people aren't upset with you. And so I write about the influences, what I discover as I go along about some of the choices I'm making that really aren't my choices, but they are based on what I perceive other people thinking I should do versus what I really want to do. So I talk about the importance of paying attention to how you're influenced by the tribes in your life. Another question, this is a really important one, I ask myself this a lot. If your life were to end today, what would you regret? What would you regret not having done? And who would you regret not having become? It's important to look at both. Too often we focus on what do I want to do in my life that I'm not doing, that I would regret not having done. But we don't focus on who am I becoming and what qualities of character have I or have I not developed that are deeply important to me. In the beginning of the book, I talk about when I turned 50 and I looked at what I would regret. It was things like not letting go of my self-consciousness, being bolder with my choices, feeling at peace in my body. They were sort of goals or experiences that weren't typical, like, oh, I would regret not having gone to Spain, or I would regret not learning how to fly, or something like that. It really wasn't that. It was more about the inner adventure. What are the things that I want to experience as a woman, as a grown woman? What does wholeness feel like to me? What does spontaneity, being a spontaneous, brave, gutsy gal, what would that mean? What would it mean to live peacefully in my body, to never, to not go through the feeling of, oh, I don't feel good in these jeans, or I don't feel strong enough, or I feel, I don't feel healed or whole in some way. So I think it's important for us to look at, on a consistent basis, what we would regret if we weren't here. It's one of the things that death does is even, the loss of my cat really has me questioning what's important in life. That kind of love that you share with an animal, that kind of intimacy, that kind of deep, soulful connection really sort of shines a light on where the true value of experience comes from. And it really shines a light on the power of love as being such an important, just an important experience in life. And it makes other things far less important. So those are some of the questions that I include in the back of the book. There's a bunch of them. There's like 20 of them. And these are the kinds of questions that I'd love for you to explore with your book group or, or with yourself in a journal. It's a series of questions that you could actually ask yourself on a regular basis. If you, I would set it up at least once a year, maybe on your birthday. In this book I talk about a birthday ritual that I use because the journal happened to correspond with or include my birthday, which was in November. So it might be a great gift to give yourself every birthday to sit down and consider some of these questions. And again, as I said, regardless of what age you are, because when you enter your late 20s, what astrologers call the Saturn return time, it's when we often that's when we come face to face with the training of the tribes and the roles we think we should be inhabiting at that time. And I find that many people who are spiritual pioneers or are creative pioneers in some way find themselves not fitting in around that time and really questioning their choices, like somehow they're not good enough because they're not married, having children, or they haven't found the right career yet. That's a time of transition, a hero's journey time. And the questions that I write about here would address that time as well. Same thing with an empty nester time, or a time when you're in the middle of a very successful career where you might be thriving and experiencing a lot of success in your life and realizing, I'm not so sure this is all it's cracked up to be. Maybe you've achieved a goal or a dream. You've accomplished a dream and you realize, wow, I thought that was going to feel a lot better than it actually did. So there's lots of different things. Maybe you're dealing with the diagnosis of an illness or the loss of a loved one yourself, the loss of a human or a furry family member. And that throws you into a period of reevaluation, of re-examining your life. It's hard, but it's important, so deeply important. We have one precious life, as far as I know, although I do write about past life regression in the book as well. We have one precious life here, anyway, and the soul is here to experience life, not to accomplish, not to conquer, not to acquire, but to actually experience the fullness of life, to allow life to flow through us, the good and the bad, the hard and the easy, the light and the dark. And the more you commit to examining that experience, to fully experiencing it, and to cultivating this ability to be a witness to yourself in your life, to notice who you really are, which is the soul that exists behind this talking mouth and this thinking mind, but the soul who is here connected to every other soul and connected to stardust and the universe and all of the galaxies, that unbreakable, eternal, just that forever part of you, that deep, true part of you is here to, the more you pay attention to the experiences you have in life from that witness perspective, the more you'll understand what I'm talking about in terms of really connecting with what really matters and experiencing a kind of beauty, like a pureness and a beauty to life, even during the darkest times. As hard as this time has been, having lost our cat and this little family member who felt like a child to us in a lot of ways, it's been horribly hard. And at the same time, it's been pure and real. And there's nothing like grief to make you incredibly present to everything. And when you're present to everything, you get the true value of living life from a soulful place. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there, and I'm going to just say thank you all for joining me, and thank you for your prayers and your love, and just, thank you for taking this journey with me. I appreciate it very much, and I'm glad that you're here. Hi, Julie. I'm glad you're here, and it was so great. I had this amazing experience I have to tell all of you. A week and a half ago, my husband Michael and I were invited to see the Broadway show Dear Evan Hansen. This was right after Poupon died, and I sort of took it as a sign that we just needed to get out of the house, honestly. Deb, I'm sorry for your loss, too. We needed to get out of the house to just get away from everything that reminded us of him. And so here we are in New York City. We step into this theater to see the Dear Evan Hansen, which was an amazing show. I mean, just like, it's kind of an unspeakably amazing show, and if you have a chance to see it, I would encourage you. I'm so grateful we got to see Ben Platt do his last performance. But we're sitting in our seats, Michael and I talking, and we stood up to turn around to get some water or something, and right there, face to face, it was Debbie Ford's beautiful assistant, Julie, dear friend and assistant, and subsequently the woman running the Ford Institute. She was right there looking at me, like right here in the next row. And I was so stunned like I kept thinking, this can't really be her, but boy, this woman really looks like her. And I like couldn't speak at first. And I thought, she's from California, and I'm thinking, what's the chances of this beautiful woman who I was communicating with right up until the moment Debbie died? It was really amazing, and such a gift for me. And she said something that night that was so incredibly helpful to me. Thank you, Julie. I'm not even going to get into it, but she knew what I was going through with the loss of our cat. And so anyway, I felt like it was a little gift from Debbie to see her beautiful face and to feel her beautiful energy. I felt very comforted by her and very taken care of. So anyway, the book's going to be available in Canada. It's going to be available all over the place. The UK, I think, at the end of January. Julie says definitely Debbie designed, without a doubt. So it's Waking Up in Winter, in search of what really matters at midlife. Here, I should do it this way. Let's see if I can do this. Hold on, everybody. Can I hold it out far enough? Hold on. Do this. There we go. Yes. Waking Up in Winter, in search of what really matters at midlife. There. And I will post again the email address if you want to be considered for a visit from me with your book group. It's bookgroup@cherylrichardson.com. Just send a copy of your receipt if you've bought 5 books or more, and we'll make that happen. It'll be really fun. And I'll be sharing more as we work up to the pub date, which is December 19th. And I will also include a link where you can pre-order the book from a bunch of different places. And for those of you that are local, on January 5th, I'm going to be actually doing a big launch event in Newburyport for Jabberwocky Books, which is a local independent bookstore that I love to support. It's going to be at the Old South Church, and if you contact Jabberwocky, you'll know. You can get more information, and you'll get more information on my schedule page. We'll be putting that up this week, actually. So January 5th, it's a Friday night, and I'll be there. A whole bunch of friends and family will be there. Michael will be there with me. And I'll be reading from the book and also talking about it. And that will be a free event open to the public. So I'll be sure to put that date in there as well. All right, everybody. Oh, good, Sharon. I'm glad you'll be there. Yeah, please, let people know. Thank you, Anne-Marie. You're all so sweet. You're just so... I'm really blessed. I have such an amazing community, and I so appreciate all of you. John, I hope to see you there then. Yeah, and if you come to the event, will you guys please make sure that you come up and say hi? So I feel like we're family, and it would be wonderful to meet you face to face. Okay, thank you all for being here with me. I appreciate it. I'll look forward to next week. I'll be doing another Facebook Live, and until then, take really good care of yourself. Remember, you will be with you longer than anyone else on the planet, so why not make it a good relationship? Louise Hay said that to me at one point, and I thought, man, she's right. Let's make it a good relationship, huh? All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Lots of love.